Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the November edition of Surrey Heath Live. Now, this is a councillor eSurgery, and the whole idea is to have Surrey Heath elected representatives live on the internet so that residents can ask us questions. Now, tonight we're joined by Councillor Dan Adams. Dan is the councillor for, or one of the councillors, I should say, for St Paul's Ward, and Dan is also the vice chairman of the council's external partnerships select committee. So welcome, Dan, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
We're also joined by Councillor Edward Hawkins, who is one of the councillors for Parkside Ward, along with his wife Josephine. Edward is the chairman of the Planning Applications Committee, a very busy committee. So thanks for joining us, Edward.
My pleasure.
Okay, and my name, for those who don't know me, I'm Paul Deach, and I'm the chairman. Sorry, I beg your pardon. I represent Mitchett and Deepcut Ward, and I'm the chairman for the External Partnerships Select Committee. So we're going to get this thing underway. Sorry for starting a little bit late. We had a few technical issues, but we've got them sorted out now. And I'm going to start with Edward. This is the segment where we really just talk about the type of emails you're getting from residents this month, Edward.
It's the same old, primarily parking down on Parkside Estate. There's been some interesting photographs taken. Somebody was parked on the yellow line, and they did the absolute right thing. They phoned into Surrey Heath Borough Council on the contact centre, and they commented on this, and the parking enforcement people were able to get out there, and they've ticketed 2 people primarily for illegal and inconsiderate parking. And it's great. It's good that people use the contact centre, and I hope once the new car park at the hospital is open, it will take the pressure off the residents, because they have people parked outside all day long, and sometimes inconsiderate parking over driveways and things like that. That's really the main issue.
It is actually astonishing how inconsiderate some people are. And we have the same problem at Dettingham Park, where people literally park across people's driveways. I just can't believe people would do that. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Okay. So they're the types of emails that you're getting, Edward.
Yep.
Anything else?
Really, no. It's
anything that Josephine's getting that you're aware of?
No, I mean, we get much the same thing. I mean, she has the same problems. We have actually been away for 2 weeks of the last 4, so we're a little bit behind the curveball, as they say.
Have you been anywhere nice?
We went to Mexico. It was brilliant.
Oh, wow.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. Excellent. Okay, then. Dan, what about you?
It's really down to the time of year. It's leaves, mainly. I've had a few problems with, like, roads that haven't been cleared, dangerous pathways, blocked drainage areas.
Okay.
There's quite a few bits and pieces like that. But obviously up here, there's so many hills up here that all the leaves are running down and then clogging at the drains at the bottom.
Yeah, and I suppose a lot of that is down to highways.
It is.
And Surrey County Council. For those people in the audience that don't know, we're borough councillors, and certain areas of responsibility are the preserve, let's say, of the county council, which we don't really have any influence over, other than to contact the county councillors, and which you can do yourselves. But obviously, we're in regular contact with them, and we often do, pass those issues on. Okay, so was that it, Dan? Nothing else?
No. The only other one I had was somebody mentioning about the Christmas lights switch on, which I think was an amazing day. I don't know if you saw it, Edward, but the Park Street was just rammed with people, and the whole thing went fantastically well. But then there was a slight issue with the timing, where the lights came on before the button was pressed or something along. I didn't witness it myself. But
was that what you had a complaint about that?
yeah.
Oh my days. Okay.
No, I didn't actually see the Park Street. I saw all the stalls in the High Street, and it was great to see so many people there. It's a shame the weather wasn't better, but I saw the the subsequent pictures of the very crowded Park Street. Fabulous to see so many people in Camberley.
Wasn't it?
Yeah,
Definitely.
really. It was an incredible event. I mean, I was actually, so I kind of, little bit of a conflict of interest in that I was working at the event. So I did some of the social media, and the photography you saw on Facebook and that type of thing was from my fair hands. But amazing event. I was there from first thing in the morning right the way through to the end of the event. And yes, it was a bit windy and a bit raining, so that did spoil the, I suppose, the high street farmers and artisan market. I can see here we've actually got in the audience one of the stallholders there.
Yeah, Mr. Emmett's
joined. He's the fruit and veg guy, and incredible fruit and vegetables that he has there. And yeah, the rain and the wind did spoil it a little bit on the high street, but miraculously, by the time we got to the big event, which was in the evening, the rain stopped and the wind died down.
2 or 3 minutes beforehand, wasn't it?
My prayers were answered.
But for those that obviously haven't seen it or couldn't make it, I don't know if this will come out, but that's Park Street.
Look at that, mega.
It's brilliant,
Isn't it? Amazing.
It was, and
fantastic work by Collectively Camberley there.
Yeah, and I think again we should really give them just explain to residents what Collectively Camberley is, because Camberley Town Centre is a business improvement district, and to cut a very long story short, all the businesses in the town centre contribute an amount on top of their business rates, which allow the town centre to put on those incredible events with the whole idea to increase footfall into the town centre. And they do put on some amazing events. They have the car show in the summer, the rooftop cinema. All these incredible events are organised by Collectively Camberley, more commonly known as Love Camberley. And if you want to find out about some of the amazing events going on, the best way to do that is to follow their Facebook page. Just do a search on Facebook for Love Camberley, and you'll find them. They're also on Twitter at Love Camberley. So, yeah, great event. Well done, guys. They also had business awards last week, and celebrating some of the amazing businesses that we have in Camberley Town Centre. So very, very active, and it's great to see. My turn now.
Oh, sorry,
go ahead.
Go on to your turn. Can I just go back on something you said about people contacting the county councillors? I mean, the county councillor have a much larger patch than we do at Borough, and anybody mailing county with problems or concerns they have is always very helpful to include the relevant borough councillors, because it enables us to know the concerns, because we don't always get feedback because of the nature of the beast, and that way, we can sometimes help our county colleagues because we're on the patch more than they are, and it really is very helpful. We find certainly in Parkside if people include us on any mails they send to the county councillor.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah, that's
keeping abreast of the issues that are going on as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point, Edward. Very good point. Okay, it's my turn now. I've got a few actually to add here. And guys, feel free to chip in with any of your thoughts or feedback on these. The first one, I'm getting a lot of communication. I was getting a lot of communication about this last month as well, was about Frimhurst Farm. Now, in Deepcut, there's a business development, let's say, with units in there, and there's been an enforcement notice placed on there to do with some let's say areas that don't have the proper permissions, and they've had an enforcement notice served on them. It puts me as a councillor for the area actually in quite an awkward position, in that I think everybody knows in this area I'm very pro-business, and I want to make sure that our local businesses thrive and all the rest of it. But also we have residents that live close by that are very concerned about what's going on there. And in fact, as such, they've created an e-petition. I looked earlier, and there's over 100 signatures on that petition about Frimhurst Farm. Don't want to go into it in too much detail. But just to say, it is on my radar. I am aware of what's going on, and I'm keeping an open mind about the enforcement notice that's been served there, and trying just to listen to everybody's views, the businesses and the residents, so that. But really, I don't have any influence over the outcome, because this is it's gone legal, basically. So I don't know if there's anything you can add to that, Edward.
No, I chaired the meeting when the enforcement was agreed. And as you say, it is in the legal process. So I think it's a situation that we as councillors should take a step back on.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I just thought I'd mention that anyway, just to let people know it is something I am aware of and that I'm not ignoring it. The other one, which I do hope you can comment on, because it is another planning matter, Edward, is the Princess Royal Barracks. Now, I happen to know that last week at the Planning Applications Committee, there were 2 planning applications, or rather variations on planning applications to do with the Princess Royal Barracks. So if you could tell us about those, what they were and what the outcome was, please.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Notice would be good. Basically, they were, as you say, they were variations to the existing, the extant consent. Because the original consent was granted on a conceptual basis, and we're now getting more detail coming through. And this is the first of a large number of variations and alterations that are going to come through to the Planning Applications Committee. Because as a committee, we insisted that major, and you have a question of what is major and what is minor, I know, but major variations have to come back to the committee for the committee to consider. And this was the first of a large number that will run through. You have to remember the discussions with the between the agents for the owners and our planning team started back in 2012. And the planning application was granted in 2014. So there has been a passage of time. There's an awful lot of work going on behind the scenes. These 2 related to the sustainability of the housing and the premises, and the properties there. The government, as is government way, they changed rules, and this was a tidying up. We took quite a firm line, because what we at Surrey Heath, all of us, want to do is to ensure that there is the best possible design going forward for the development, for people's homes, that they are sustainable, that it's properly designed. And this was really tidying up. And in doing so, we had to ensure that any changes were tied into the Section 106 agreement, so that we get the benefit of the 106, the improvements to the area, the cricket, the roads, the town centre, the shops, all of that is tied in. And these were the first 2. They were passed. Minimal debate, because the officers presented a very solid paper, which the committee had all read, and very good committee. They do read all of the papers. As it happens in the briefing, I decided that we would run these 2 together rather than reinvent the wheel. We all know where deep cut is. And so they were dealt with as one item, although they were voted on separately, because they were 2 separate items. There were 2 separate aspects. But that's primarily what it was. It was dealt with the sustainability, the U values, things like this on the properties. And it has gone through, but that is just the starter for a large number of applications that are going to flow through.
Yeah, and if we could perhaps, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because as you know, Edward, I'm not on your committee. I never have been on the Planning Applications Committee. I do try my best to attend as many as I possibly can, just so that I can get my head around how it all works. It's very, very complex. It is very complex. But the position currently is that last year there was a large outline planning application submitted for the Princess Royal Barracks, and the outline planning permission granted was to do with the area in which the development will go, as well as the infrastructure. Yes. So it's just a very broad, general planning application. Correct. Then after that, there will be a number, as you mentioned, smaller planning applications, many of them which are referred to as the reserved matters. And there, what we talk about is the fine detail. Correct. So where the number of houses, not the number of houses, but where the houses are going to go, the concentrations, the mix, the materials that will be used, and so on and so on and so on. If there's anything else you can add to that, that would be great.
No, that's right. Part of the problem for the developers and for the landowners is, of course, that the new home where the barracks, the army are moving to, has been delayed. And this has meant that the developers can't get what is known as behind the wire. And we all want the housing there. We want to see this development get going. And so we are in discussions on how we can mitigate the delay. The end date has been pushed back by at least 2 years now. It may be longer, because when you start off with a plan, we're going to do something by a date, all sorts of external factors come in, and that is inevitably pushed back. So, but you're absolutely right. These are the reserve matters. These are variations. These are changes, additions to the original planning permission. Part of it is to reflect changing trends, changing demand, new building materials, things like that. It's a lot of detail and work will be carried out behind the scenes, which people won't necessarily see. But the major part of it will come back to the committee. Dan is a substitute member, so he will be getting some of it at some stage when he steps in to help out.
Okay, and because even though I'm not on the committee, doesn't mean to say that I can't. And you always allow me to speak for on behalf of residents whenever I want to, Edward, as you do with other councillors.
Yeah, I have done so far, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah,
absolutely right.
So although I'm not on the committee, doesn't mean to say that I can't ask questions on behalf of residents or express concerns or ask for things. And that's the role of a councillor, I suppose.
As can any councillor, because we are councillors for Surrey Heath. And any other councillor has the right to come to the meeting and comment, not so much ask questions, because they tend to sort of flow on at the start of the meeting before the way it's set up, before the debate gets in, but they can make the views known to the committee in advance of the committee deliberating on that particular item.
Yeah. Now, as far as some councillors get, I suppose, on other local authorities might get a little bit precious about their particular areas. But as far as Deep Cut is concerned, I'm more than happy for any councillor to ask questions about Deep Cut, because at the end of the day, such a large development has an impact across the borough, doesn't it?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, particularly with things like traffic mitigation and those types of things. Okay, so that's Deep Cut, and I just thought I'd mention that. The next thing, and there is somebody in the audience who I think this might, whose ears might prick up on this one. I'm still getting quite a lot of communication, particularly on social media, about the traffic lights at Frimley Green, which is also related to the Deep Cut development. And I know that we've got Cliff in the audience, who actually, I believe, was one of the people, if not the person, who started the e-petition for the traffic lights in Frimley Green. We did discuss this at last month's eSurgery. And I'm not sure that there's a lot else I can add to what we said last month. I don't know if you guys are getting any communication about that.
I've been away.
Oh, yeah, of course you have. Danny, you've not received anything about that.
I haven't seen anything. I've been monitoring emails and monitoring mail whilst I was away, obviously. And I haven't seen anything, but it is, as we said last time, it is a county issue. And I know that the local, in addition to you and your patch, the Frimley Green councillors have been working very hard on that in consultation with the county. We have a training evening coming up, Paul.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
And we have a guest visit by the Surrey County Council. I would point out it is training. It is not to. It is to hear how they go around things. So questions would not be allowed from the chair on specific items, but how they approach issues more and more generalistic point rather than detail.
I mean, one of the things that I should point out is, and I was at a residents' meeting recently where I basically said this, but the thing is with the Frimley Green traffic lights is that yes, they were part of the outline planning application, and what residents in Frimley Green are saying is, well, why put the traffic lights in first? Why don't you wait to see once all the traffic and let's see if we need them, kind of thing, if they're going to make a difference. The thing is that one of the bits of feedback that we got from residents in the early stages of the consultation, particularly to do with Dettingham Park, was that many of the 106 agreements weren't fulfilled until many years later, in some cases 12 years later. Wow. For Dettingham Park. So that what they said is in the early consultation is, well, we want the infrastructure first before the houses are built. And actually I suppose the traffic lights are part of that, I suppose putting in place that consultation. So there's not a lot more else I can add to that, but
the traffic lights that were part of the infrastructure that was part and parcel of the original planning permission. And you've raised an interesting point there. The county council, as I know, on what I've seen, is they've spent a lot of time working out on traffic flows and on modelling and how they're going to mitigate any additional delays. And for them to come along X time afterwards and say that we want this in now, it may not be feasible, it may not be possible. And I think it is a county issue, and it is something that I know has been raised by you and by other local councillors with the county. And so I'm trying to see what's been said.
Well, actually, I've posted on there. It looks like that's come from me, that comment, but I've basically reposted Cliff's comment. He's basically saying there are now over 1,100 local people who were not aware that the traffic lights were going to be put in. Now, I suppose what Cliff is saying is that residents of Frimley Green weren't consulted. I'm not so sure about that. There was a lot of consultation that went on at the time. Directly, he's saying they weren't directly consulted. Okay,
don't know. I truly don't know. It was part of. I know it was all part of the parcel of the original application, which was an enormous application. So some people may have missed detail, and I truly don't know. And the best thing is to go back to County Highways and find out just how they did that consultation.
I mean, key stakeholders were consulted. I don't know if residents directly were consulted in Frimley Green. I don't think they were. Deep Cut residents were. But key stakeholders in Frimley Green. So, for instance, the Frimley Green, Mitchett and Deep Cut Society were consulted about that. So they were aware of it. And I know you were at a meeting recently, Cliff, of the Frimley Green, Mitchett, Deep Cut Society. But obviously the consultation it didn't reach far enough, basically. But it'll be interesting to see how that petition is addressed by the county council. It will be. Okay, so I've got two other things. One, I'm receiving more and more communication again about dog fouling. At the old, this is a disbanded committee now, but we did have the Community Services Committee in my previous term. And this was an issue that I got the mick taken out of me quite a lot, let's say. I didn't want to be known as the dog poo councillor, but I was, because it was something that I often raised at various committees with our environmental services people at Surrey Heath Borough Council. I'm getting quite a lot of complaints again about dog fouling. And to those residents who may be either watching this live or the recording afterwards, I will be bringing that up again very soon with our environmental services department to see if there's something we can do from an enforcement point of view. One thing I would say, though, is I went out with a lot of the enforcement officers, and actually catching people in the act is not easy. It really isn't. You got to be in the right place at the right time. But one thing is for sure, I will be raising it with them again. And I would urge residents, if you do see anything, is to report it to the environmental services team at Surrey Heath Borough Council.
While you're on that point, Paul, sorry.
Sorry.
Because I took a picture of this.
Well, please don't tell me you took a picture of dog poo, Dan.
No. I was in, I was in California a few weeks ago. We visited this place called Carmel, and it was like a picture perfect village. No, there wasn't any rubbish anywhere. There's no dog fouling anywhere, and they had these bins here. If you can see that, can you?
Pick up. What does that say? Pick up.
Just pick up after
your pet. Yeah.
Yeah. See this bit down here, that black circle there. That's actually bags that they can use, where the public can actually pull one out and use that bag, you know, if they haven't got one on them or whatever, and then it actually forms part of the bin. So I'd be interested to know what the cost would be.
Interestingly, Dan, and it's a shame Dave Allen isn't with us tonight. He couldn't be with us tonight. There was a bit of a mix-up on the dates, but right. At the committees where we discussed dog fouling, Dave Allen did actually say exactly that. What we should have in the parks is, you know, areas where dispensers on the dog fouling bins or wherever where people can get bags if they haven't got them. At the time, I can see how it could work, but at the time we thought, well, you know, if you own a dog, then you should take them out with you.
Yeah,
you own a dog, Dan, don't you?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I go out without my dog, put my hand in my pocket, and suddenly there's a bag there. You know, it's just part and parcel of it. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, another option is down in West Sussex. They have this. There's like a template where they spray paint onto the pavement. It sounds awful to start with, but it just says "pick up after your dog" in huge letters, and it's there for about 3 days. And then the rain washes it away. It's not a permanent thing. So it's just a hard and fast statement. You know?
We actually did something similar here in this borough. Okay. Yeah, last year they spray painted around the dog poo.
Right,
pink spray paint, which also was like biodegradable and sort of washed away. And it was just to highlight so people could see where they were and that, you know, how disgusting it is. I'm not sure what the effect was. No. And someone saying in the audience there, debatable UK. We do that in Cheshire. He does. Ken, yeah. I mean, we've got someone from Cheshire watching this. That's what they do there. He's saying
dogs were they were gone to the toilet in Cheshire, wouldn't they? Didn't they do?
Yeah.
But Dan, wasn't Carmel the very famous mayor? Wasn't that Schwarzenegger or somebody was mayor in Carmel? Not Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
Anyway, it was a famous mayor.
Someone's
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, yeah. Clint Eastwood.
That's it. Thanks, Ken.
Someone's asked a question, what are the fines? Well, the fixed penalty notice, I think, is 80 quid in this area.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm aware, for dog fouling, one hasn't been issued in a very long time, if ever.
Really?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm aware of. It, like I said earlier, it is actually very, very difficult to catch someone in the act, unless you'd like staking out with like camouflage and binoculars and all that sort of stuff.
Well, Paul, Josephine was part of with Joe Potter, the mayor, the Young Enterprise Children's Parliament.
Yes.
Council, and this was one of the things that was discussed. Were you there for that?
I wasn't, no.
And the youngsters came up with some fabulous ideas to how to tackle this. They had sort of video cameras on the dogs' collars and things like this to capture the owners, and solar-powered cameras. Because I mean, they were trying to come up with ideas that would tackle this issue. And so it's great that we've got the young people engaged on it. It's one of these, maybe it's an iterative process that we will eventually win, and not something you can win overnight, but educate the youngsters who, as we well know, if the youngsters are educated, they nag the parents.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. On the CCTV thing, while it's a great idea, unfortunately, it's not practical because
no.
Yeah, for various reasons. For various reasons, notwithstanding the law.
You get all the dogs going around doing selfies, and you'll never get anywhere.
Brings a whole new meaning to toilet selfie.
Absolutely. Okay, so the final thing that I'm getting, I've had a couple of emails about, and particularly on social media, is obviously about Paris and what happened at the weekend. And while obviously there's nothing we can do as councillors to other than express our sadness and so on. but the questions were more around security and what we will be doing as a borough in terms of security. And I've not received any communication from the borough, from our officers about security. Obviously, that's a police function. But the only advice I would give to residents is just remain vigilant. I mean, we do live in a borough that has a lot of military here. So obviously, you know, our personal security ought to be at the forefront of our minds. But my advice as well is don't change anything. Don't let them win. Don't let
we also live in a very safe borough.
Yeah.
Without wishing to sound as if we're being complacent. You're absolutely right. Everyone has to be vigilant, but you also have to engage with neighbours. At times, we can maybe be too insular. If we, which is, as a borough, we've tried to be, I suppose it's terribly trendy, multicultural. We've tried to be inclusive. We work very hard at this because we have quite a spread of different nationalities. And if we speak to our neighbours, we speak to people, we get to know them, we get to understand their issues. As councillors is doubly so, but all of us, residents, councillors, you can help make people feel wanted and included far more than they have. I mean, because these attackers, when you look at where they came from in Paris and Brussels, they've come from areas which are deprived, and they feel excluded, and they are susceptible to the blandishments of others.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, very sad. I was watching the events unfold as they did on Friday, and completely shocked by what I saw. And I hope that we don't see any repeat of that. Obviously, our government have announced today that they're going to double, I think, the spend on security, which is welcome news as far as I'm concerned. You know, so okay. That was it on the type of emails that I'm getting recently. Now, this live questions, we've been answering the questions really as they've been going along in there. But if anyone has any questions, type them in the comments there. Have you had any questions before the broadcast, Dan?
No, I haven't.
I don't think you have you, Edward? I received one, which was to do. This is from Dave in Frimley. Are there any plans to have the Ringo app in the car parks in Camberley? Yes, there are. Yes, there are. But there is a bit of an issue at the moment. So the council installed some quite state-of-the-art machines, actually, in Camberley Town Centre, and they use these ANPR cameras. The issue is getting the software from those machines to talk to the software used on Ringo. So there is a bit of a problem there. I doubt very much that it's going to be implemented before Christmas, but they are. They definitely want to bring in the Ringo app, certainly on the council-owned car parks. Obviously, I can't speak for the Atrium and any other car parks there, but certainly the council ones, which are Main Square car park and Knoll Road car park. Yep. They already have Ringo in the council car park, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say there is one in one of the car parks, isn't
there?
Yeah,
that's the council car park. So at the weekends and in evenings, you can park there. And the Ringo app is enabled there. So that's
Paul,
the only question I have.
Car parking. The Thursday night car parking?
I had that in my news to mention in the news, which we're going to go on to, unless, let me just see if there's any other questions. What are the fines in your council area? Yeah, we've already discussed that. We can move on to that. Have you got any news, Dan, that you want to?
Not at all.
No. You, Edward, so you want to talk about that?
No, I had a fabulous holiday. No, there's no, it's pretty quiet on that front at the moment.
Okay, so the Thursday nights, late night shopping, you will be able to park free of charge in Camberley Town Centre. Let me just bring up the details of that here now.
Is that just in Main Square, or is it in all the car parks?
I'm bringing
Road as well.
I'm bringing it up now. I'm going to put a link into the comments there for those people watching live, and I'll just read out what the deal is. So Camberley shoppers can enjoy free parking during late night shopping on Thursdays. Starting on the 19th of November and up to the 17th of December, most of Camberley's top high street names and fantastic independent traders will open late, giving shoppers a chance to pick up Christmas essentials up to 8 p.m. So Surrey Heath Borough Council is providing free parking in its main square and Knoll Road car parks for cars arriving after 3 p.m. So the late night shopping dates are the 19th of November through to 26th of November, 3rd of December, 10th of December, and the 17th of December. The atrium is also offering free parking during the same days and times.
But that excludes the council car park, because that is a working car park for the council, and then it reverts to a pay car park, and that's the free parking is excluded there.
Yeah, it doesn't actually say, it doesn't mention that car
park.
So
warning. Just be a little bit cautious on that one.
Hang on a minute. A new online service car park Spaces Live gives updates every 15 minutes showing how many spaces are in Main Square and Knoll Road car parks. No, that's not it.
Yeah.
No, I'd avoid that one.
Yeah. Just be careful and don't think that that's covered.
Yeah, I think that
better safe than sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, that's it. I'm done. I haven't got anything else to report. I don't know if you guys have got anything else that you wanted to mention.
I don't think so. It's a lot of the stuff I'm dealing with, I can't really talk about at this point.
It has actually been quite a quiet month, actually.
It's getting that way, and it is on my planning side. It's going to be quiet for the next month or so because of what's going on in the background. So there's not an awful lot. And on the ward front, not really. It's the usual problems, the usual issues. Other than that, everybody is hopefully content. I haven't heard otherwise.
Okay, Dan, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, everyone's quite happy up here, I think.
Yeah, okay, same here. So I think we'll wrap this up now. I'll be sticking around for a few minutes after in case anyone else has any questions or wants to jump in any of the seats. But thank you, Dan, Councillor Dan Adams, for joining us, and you, Councillor Edward Hawkins. Hopefully we'll have a few more councillors involved next month. This is something that we intend to do every month now. We've got 8 people watching this live right now. But we've had 45 people pass through the room, which is a good number, really.
It's good.
Yeah.
So there are other things happening tonight, as there will be leading up to Christmas and everything else. So, but thank you for setting this up, Paul. Thank you, and good night to you, Dan, and good night to watchers.
Okay. Thank you.